Good evening. It is still unclear what exactly happened during Storm Dara to force the closure of Holyhead port for a month over the Christmas period. But there are calls tonight for reassurances about when it will reopen. The operators say it will be January the 15th at the earliest. But the leader of Plaid Cymru says it is important that date does not slip any further. Meanwhile, with the clock ticking ahead of Christmas, hauliers and ferry passengers have been telling us of their struggles trying to find different ways across the Irish Sea. George Hurd sent this report from Holyhead.
It's been a damp, dreary day at Holyhead Port. Hopes dashed that it might be open again this week after Storm Dara saw ferry berths put out of action a week and a half ago. Port owners and operators Stena Line initially said it would be this Friday that ferries could return. But now we know it won't be until January the 15th at the earliest. For the 1,200 hauliers who normally use the port every day, they're having to find new routes to and from Ireland, such as Birkenhead, Heysham in Lancashire and even Scotland, costing them money and time.
What's the experience been at Birkenhead? What's been happening there?
It's bedlam up there. The port is absolutely rammed with trailers. There's no parking spaces for them. They're everywhere. Going into the port, we're queuing half a mile up the road.
This port carries 2 million passengers a year, the second busiest roll-on, roll-off ferry port in the UK. And for many, it was how they hoped they'd be getting to Ireland for Christmas. Now, those plans are up in the air.
We were due to travel on Sunday morning on the 8:05 sailing from Holyhead. Now, at the moment, we still haven't had any confirmation from Irish ferries, with the exception of, we are going to be sailing from Pembroke.
A joint statement from the Welsh and Irish government says the delay in reopening is not what they wanted to hear. The Welsh Transport Minister says it's imperative port gets back to business as soon as possible.
First of all, there's the immediate challenge of getting people and goods to Ireland before Christmas. Then there's the second phase of making sure that between Christmas and when the port reopens, we can use other ports to provide the capacity that's required. Of course, it'll be quieter after Christmas, which will help in terms of providing that extra capacity. But then the third phase is getting the port reopened as soon as possible. Now, this is a very complicated situation because when a structure is damaged overground, you can see it very clearly. Underwater, it requires intense investigation by great specialists. They're under the water day in, day out, carrying out the investigations.
The specialist cranes are in place with work continuing to try and get this port open as soon as possible. But then there are questions for the longer term about how to make sure this can't happen again.
For Angles's Senedd member and the Plaid Cymru leader, there are questions moving forward.
We need assurances about the long-term prosperity of Holyhead Port. And we also need to know, what has happened here, were there underlying problems. But short-term, we need to be sure that the middle of January is the timescale that we're working to. We need assurances on that, but also we need an assessment from Welsh Government of what the impact of this is on businesses, on the community here, on Holyhead, so assistance can be offered.
UK's Welsh Secretary Jo Stevens says she shares the frustrations of businesses and passengers affected and said investment in the port's breakwater will help prevent a repeat of the Storm Dara damage. Stena Line has also apologised and said it's doing all it can to offer alternative routes to and from Ireland.
And so at least 4 more weeks without ferry traffic here at the port of Holyhead. 4 weeks is what the company is saying. But we are hearing reports this evening from Irish media of fears from hauliers that it may actually be many, many more months. We've heard a possibility of it being St. Patrick's Day before the ferries return, possibly even into the summer. But what we do know for a fact is this evening and going into the next few weeks, it will be a frustrating time for all those hauliers, all those passengers who are trying to get to and from Ireland. Nick.
OK, George, thank you very much indeed. George Hurd in Holyhead there.